Our next story reminds me of one of those incredible projects that takes generations to complete, like, say, a cathedral. But Patrick Murphy's story tonight is not about building something, but about rebuilding something, preserving history, bringing it back piece by piece, even letter by letter. It's a remarkable task taking place in what appears to be a rather unremarkable building.
From the street, it looks like just another 1950s office building. But inside the National Personnel Record Center on Page Avenue are the military records of more than 57 million servicemen and women from every part of the United States, going as far back as the late 19th century. So if you served in the military, it's likely that your story is preserved somewhere here in a file.
There's a variety of things that are located within these jackets. Things like entrance and separation physicals, military orders, awards, decorations, assignment history, and it's something that is of interest to the veteran because they usually need that for a federal benefit or entitlement, or for genealogists and historians because of the just tremendous amount of information in those records.
So anytime a request is made for any kind of documents, it starts here?
That's right. This is our incoming mail room. About half of our requests arrive in paper form here. The other half we receive over the web.
And about how many requests do you get?
We answer 1 million requests a year. That works out to about 4,000 to 5,000 a day. We see quite a few requests from Desert Shield, Desert Storm, some from the Iraq War, and of course Vietnam era veterans are approaching retirement age, and so we see quite a few requests from that period.
But not every veteran's file is stored here. In July of 1973, a fire broke out on the 6th floor and raged for days, destroying 18 million Army and Air Force records created between 1912 and 1963. 80% of the Army records of World War I, World War II, Korea, and the post-war era were destroyed.
This is the burned storage area. Each of these boxes contains about 30 or so records. Each of these shelves contains 6 cubic feet. Each one of these boxes is a cubic foot. In this area we have 148,000 boxes of records recovered from the fire. It's about 6.5 million. And they're stored in flat file arrangement. You can kind of see here these are very brittle. Some of these have some charring from the fire. We have others that are in worse shape.
For veterans whose records were lost in the fire, the center collects and scans military pay vouchers, which were recorded and stored elsewhere, so that benefits can still be granted to those who served. For the past 35 years, there's been an ongoing effort to restore as many of those burned records as possible.
This is an example of a file from the 1973 fire in its original condition as it exists here. And what we've been able to do is digitize these images. And when we do so, we're able to reveal information from under the charred areas through digital enhancement and recover that information. So I have a sample here of the original document and the recovered digitally enhanced image.
And you could read things that are completely obliterated here.
Yes. There has to be some distinction between the paper background and the areas where there's ink or typewriting. And what we can't see with our eye, we can often detect through a digital camera or a scan.
But even those files not destroyed in the fire are in constant need of restoration. Since they're all on paper, stored in cardboard boxes, and mostly old, they deteriorate over the years. So the center has its own conservation department which repairs, and if necessary, reconstructs them.
We will try to repair them, put them back into order, and just do a little manual arrangement and reorganization of the documents. But we might go as far as doing a lot of chemical treatments, humidification, taking adhesives off of documents to try to get them back to their original state so that they can be handled and used by the reference technicians here in the center or by the public.
These records have been used so excessively that they've been going to pieces, and these are fragments that were found within the box. So the first step before we even get to the mending for the pages is just to figure out where the fragments came from to the best extent we can.
It looks like a jigsaw puzzle.
It is, and the unfortunate thing is that there's no box top with what shows you what the image is at the end, so you've got to figure that out as you go along. And plus you can have hundreds of different pages and all sorts of little pieces.
So it's like putting a puzzle together that you don't know what it's going to look like before you start.
Exactly.
And then there's mold, as you can imagine, with 2.5 million cardboard boxes filled with old paper.
We use vacuums that have high efficiency filters in them that capture as much mold as we can possibly get. Mold that's embedded into the fibers of the paper won't get sucked up, but anything on the surface will. They use the screens to place it over the document so that it doesn't suction up any bits of paper or ash, and they clean it through the screen.
And, of course, any place that contains the records of 57 million people over a period of more than a century is bound to include some celebrities.
We're in our vault where we have records of prominent individuals that have served in the military. And we have a sampling here today of just some of the folks. Marion Cooper.
Directed King Kong.
John Ford.
Stagecoach.
Dwight Davis.
Tennis.
Right. Quentin Roosevelt, grandson of Teddy Roosevelt, that unfortunately was shot down. Dory Miller over on the right, Navy Cross winner from World War II, and Clark Gable. His separation document there is one that's rather interesting because his personnel officer is Ronald Reagan that signed it for him.
The Ronald Reagan.
The Ronald Reagan.
So from the famous to the humble, details of the lives of millions of Americans are preserved in this place, protected as best they can be against the ravages of time and the elements. Tiny pieces in a great mosaic of our history.